All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm so excited about this, mostly because I'm pumped on getting my guest on. Let me start. Let me start by getting my guest over here. This is the Coach's Corner. I am Maximilian Morma, and I am running this thing with no miking, so obviously, or no to law. So you can see there's always an issue. That's how we get better at it. Coach!
What's up, Max?
How are you, sir?
We're here. We made it.
Yes.
I'm feeling great.
Yeah. I have to come clean with something, Coach. I wanted you to be my first guest, and Ben Carter snuck on because I was just playing with it, and I got him on. So I can either call that a pilot, no hard feelings, Ben, and then but I don't. I wanted my coach, my love. But yeah,
well, I'm happy Ben was the first one. So
yeah,
that was a good choice.
Thank you. Yeah, he's a great guy, great coach. Skipp, you're out of Madtown, and give me a little bit of your location, where you're at right now, where your gym is, something like that.
All right. Yeah, we're CrossFit Madtown, 11 and a half years in right now, being affiliated. We're in actually Middleton, Wisconsin, which is on the far west end of Madison. Okay. Not like Madison is so huge, but yeah, we're out on here on the west end of the area. Yeah, we've been posted up here for 11 and a half years. Man, it's been quite a while, but yeah, it's been fun to watch CrossFit grow in Madison, as we were the first CrossFit gym here in the area, to the point to now, having the games here the past few years. It's kind of been fun seeing everything all come together full circle back here in the Madison area.
That's kind of cool that it followed you. So it went to where, of course, it had to go where it was. It makes sense.
You know what? We've been so excited to see so many of our friends from California out here over the CrossFit Games, except for you, Max. We got to get your butt out here one of these days.
I'm just scared that if I go out there, I don't come back. Next thing you know, I'm working hours at the gym. Like, hey, coach.
I don't know. The hermit coach might like it out on the farm. Actually, the hermit coach might like it out there. Actually,
I mean, that's one of the things that when we were talking yesterday that I realized that I call myself the hermit coach a lot in regards to learning from you and always wanting to keep my stuff to my community. Not that it doesn't matter about getting it out, but it's more about the interactions and the constant connections that you're making with individuals. And so that was something that I always pride myself that I learned from you. So let me ask you a question. Give me a little bit of your coach's history, or like your history in general, maybe starting from a condensed version of semi-pro baseball. Skipp Benzing hurts himself, or
cool. Yeah, I can take it back even further, Maxie. I think if we're going to talk coaching specific, we got to mention both that my mom and dad were high school coaches.
Yeah.
So, I came out of the womb as a coach. So they were both highly successful high school coaches, my mom in volleyball and my dad in baseball and basketball. The coaching has been in my blood since I was a youngster. My brother actually coaches cross country, high school cross country right now. So it's kind of a part of our family. It's kind of a family thing. I have my uncle. My uncle was my junior college baseball coach on top of that as well. So I've been around coaches my whole family and for my whole life. So I guess it's just kind of part of who I am. I could take it back that far, but strength and conditioning specifically, I worked with a guy in the off season named Steve Sagendahl. Crazy dude, worked with a lot of Russian hockey guys. So I was his off season because, hockey off season is the opposite of baseball off season. And I started training with this guy in my first off season. A little bit wet behind the ears. I'd been in the weight room and different things, but this guy had a whole different outlook on things. And
those hockey players, they train tough.
Crazy. You did this workout every other Friday where you knew you were going to vomit, like no questions about it. There was a couple times I woke up, I got off the bike where you did these shortened wind gates. So they were repeat 5-second wind gates, but you do 20 of them on the 30 seconds. And oh my God, and you had to beat your watts every time. And so, yeah, one time I woke up in my own vomit on the ground. I didn't even know how I got there, but yeah, he was the guy that kind of first got like me into being like, where, you know what, if this baseball thing doesn't work out, I like the training side of it, and I'm going to make that my life. So I got injured in my third season of minor league baseball. Things were going pretty good up to that point, but that's the way things roll sometimes in life. Injured my shoulder, didn't work out. So like I said, I knew what I wanted to do. So I went back to school at University of Wisconsin lacrosse. They were one of only 2 schools that have an actual emphasis in strength conditioning. So I did that, and to finish up there, had to do a 1 full semester internship. I wanted to work in baseball. I had a family member living out in Fullerton. So I was like, why not? Let me see if Fullerton's got any opportunities, and ended up out at Cal State Fullerton. And that's how I ended up there out with you West Coast guys out on that side.
That's awesome. Hey, tell me, since we went back to your parents in regards to coaching, tell me the story of, like, you used to have to do figure eights before you got up in the morning, or like in the morning before like field work, or like when was the figure eights? Where was the figure eights?
I mean, you know what? I kind of took that on my own. I got them taught to me. My dad will tell you this, and he loves to tell this story to everybody about how, he never had to like tell me to do anything. There was actually times I'd get on him for like, if he had to go do some farm work or something, and I wanted to practice. I'd be like, I'm never going to make it because you're not helping me get to where I need to get to. Give him a big old guilt trip. So I used to have the dirty dozen dribbling drills that I did every day as a basketball player. I kind of equate it to people, talking about doing the Bergner drills and the Bergner sequences every day. He talks about, even if it's using a barbell or a PVC pipe, doing those every day. I think if for the fundamentals of any sport, you definitely need to be working on the fundamentals every day, no matter what level of an athlete you are.
I remember you telling me, oh yeah, I did this in the morning, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, so did you play basketball? And you blew it off. And I know you played high school basketball and you're pretty good at basketball, but you blew it off and you're like, nah. And I remember asking you, but like, aren't you a baseball player? And you're like, yeah. I was like, so why did you do basketball? And you're like, to learn. And I was like, oh, okay. I remember that, like, and I know we had a lot of like really long conversations, but there were certain times where you would give me very short conversations. And I remember that basketball to me was the idea of, hey, Max, no matter what you decide to focus on, you still got to be good at a lot of shit. And that was something to even me and you when we got taken up with Josh so we were at Cal State Fullerton. So I got blessed. I come across Skipp Benzing at a 24-hour fitness because you're just doing a side hustle of personal training. Your gym's not open. So they ship you over to Buena Park. You come into Buena Park, and next thing you know, I find out that I have a college strength coach inside the gym, and you're only going to be there for a certain amount of time. And so then what happens? Do I start bugging you, or like what?
You asked me for a program.
Right away.
Actually, a bodybuilding program, and I remember I wrote you up some program, and because I knew you were a strong, powerful dude, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this guy his program, and I'm gonna try to see if I can kind of bait him into coming into the gym at Fullerton. And so I remember asking you, I gave you this program. I was like, yeah, if you want to do a real workout, so come to Fullerton with me, and I'm going to start teaching you how to weightlift. And you were like, cleans? I've done cleans before. And yeah, man, we got rolling at that point then, Max. So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed my time over in Buena Park. I probably wouldn't have made it for 2 years in the 24-hour fitness system if it wasn't for you, Max. Breaking down how the whole thing works and how everybody was making money off of everybody and trying to stab everybody in the back. And like, man, I would have never known what was going on if I didn't have you trying to help me out with that. So
yeah,
but,
once you learn how to like pass the bullshit around, you're like, oh, no, you grab this. No, you grab this. No, you grab this. You're good. You're good. Then you got me over at Cal State Fullerton. You're writing a senior dissertation on how to teach like general pop or athletes in a college weightlifting setting how to do weightlifting. Mm-hmm. I'm some guy that actually has probably done 1 year of cleans, but mostly power cleans in football. I started wearing mesh gloves, right? We didn't have no hook grip really. We didn't introduce that quite yet. You found me, I was strict pressing 140, like 315 seated. And you were like, ooh, let's get in. Squatting to parallel 550. And then what do? We like took a year, because why were you writing this? You're writing this for your master's.
Yep, that was to finish my master's degree. And we got interested in it through training. I mean, I actually was going to start my dissertation on vertical jump performance. Had a couple ideas on what I wanted to do with that, but then when you started coming over to Fullerton and we started to really dive in deep into weightlifting, I was like, you know what, I really love this sport. And Fullerton had an option where you could get an emphasis in kinesiology sports studies. And so I was like, well, I knew you were committed and you wanted to be a national champion. So I was like, well, let's put all of our time into doing this. And when we did our initial research, I'm sure you remember this, like, man, there wasn't nothing out there, Greg didn't have his book out. Like, there wasn't anything. I mean, I remember going on microfiche looking at articles from like way back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, the lady really was questioning on whether I wanted microfiche. The librarian, she's like, are you sure? We haven't had anybody ask for that for like about 10 years.
I remember I still have the manuals, and you bought a bunch of manuals and you let me use them to read them. And I remember when we were done, you were like, can I have them? But if you want them, you can have them. And I was like, sweet, I'll keep them. And you were like, oh, fuck, no, I kind of have them. I was, nope, no, you already said I can have them. And when I think of anything that I like feel like I took from you, I took those manuals. So if you ever want me to pay them, I honestly.
It's all good, Maxie. It's all good. It's a good trade-off.
The only guilt list that I have with our friendship and our interaction is those manuals that I was like, immediately like, you called my bluff, like, yeah, whatever, And I was like, yep, I wasn't going to give them to you anyways. And so I'm still pretty guilty about that, Coach.
It's all good. It's all good. You know me, once that knowledge is in my head, I'm not going to look at that book again anyway. So
okay, good, because I have them right here, and they're like dirty novels for me. And I thank you for that process where you allowed me to jump in there and not only be the guinea pig in the sense of the process of learning to do Olympic lifting. I learned so much. Obviously, you got a lot out of it, but the fact that we were able to take some bodybuilder and then you were able to take him into competing in Olympic weightlifting, top 4. Sorry, I never got on a podium, but
hey, had a couple shots. It was a fun ride on those couple shots where you've had the weight on the bar to do it. What more can you ask for?
Top 4, 2 weight classes. As the sport was developing, I stayed inside there even after accidents and stuff. But we learned so much, and then now you got like youth program. You got a full you're like an LWC. You do stuff out there, huh? You're into this.
Well, you know what, Max? I think so. Since was 2004 or 5. 5 was 5 the first year you competed at nationals. I'm old. I don't remember now.
Yes.
These days. So since 5, because Keisha snuck in a few there in between. I've had somebody at nationals every single year since 2005. So quietly somebody at nationals every year. So, but I guess I'm pretty proud of that. You know what I mean? To be able to do that for that many years.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, we got a good youth program. Keisha takes over most of the youth stuff. She works with the kids most of the time on our youth program. They kind of mix in with the adults on Saturdays. And then we kind of do a big group thing on Saturdays. We got one lady, Kathy. She's a beast. She's what, 43? Guess I shouldn't say that out loud. But she she you know,
Between 40 and 45.
she still competes at nationals and at that age, you know what I mean? And she's set multiple world records in the masters scene. So it's fun to kind of work with people who are, I kind of care more about working with people who want to get better and do their best. And that's what's more important to me than per se winning national titles and that type of stuff. But obviously that's cool too.
And then speaking of Keisha, when we were talking about, now you brought her up, she's no slouch. She qualified for a couple nationals. She also missed the Olympics by like 0.0 something of a second. Also qualified for regionals as an individual when they were pretty tough to qualify for. Like I think it was like super regionals or something like that. When they got compressed together, right? The first year they got compressed together. So did I say that right? I mean,
I think you pretty much got it. Like,
right.
The year that was 2012. She still had hopes of her best regional finish was 12. She was still having hopes of running eights. Things just didn't quite come together that year for her track season. But she had decided to continue training for the eights at that point in time, for the 800 instead of competing. But I believe in our regional that year, she came out of the regional in fifth. Not even training for CrossFit, But I would say in regionals, regionals just definitely being in shape and being in 800 shape is probably the most important part, per se, than being dialed in with all your skills. I think she would have had a little trouble at regionals once the skill level would have went up. You know what I mean? Just because she wasn't practicing as much as she normally was during that time period.
I mean, what's her best 800? I mean, when we're talking about an athlete, we're talking about an athlete. I think
she's just over 2 minutes. Yeah, just over 2 minutes. So.
I mean, I always
never broke the 2 minute mark, but yeah, she was right there.
I'm just made a liar, dude. I've always told people out here, like, old man, Keisha used to walk in the snow. She ran sub 2 minute miles or two minute 800s. Like, just talking now, everybody's not gonna believe shit I say about Keisha.
Come on now. Oh, at that time period though, there was only a couple girls running under 2 in the 800. Because back in the early 80s, there was when the world records was set. The girls didn't quite even look like girls that were running the 800 at that point in time. Everybody was just juiced to the tilt. And then things came back to reality for a little bit. And then now the girls are back pushing some super fast times again in the 800, especially in the United States. So.
Coach, tell me a little bit of your like certifications. What have you held? Like your degrees. Give me a little bit of kind of that side of you.
Yeah, I've held a lot of them. I don't even remember a lot of them right now.
Give me your degree, because that's the only one I give a shit about.
Well, I have both a bachelor's and master's degree in kinesiology. I definitely had that. But, I've been NSCA certified back in the day, and I had to go through, all of those things as being a collegiate strength coach who, implemented CrossFit during that time period, which, obviously I was ridiculed and told I was way too smart to be doing what I was doing. And meantime, my athletes progressed every year while other people's plateaued all the time. But you figure it out. I don't know. People are a lot smarter than me, I guess, Max. But yeah.
I remember a specific situation where when Josh basically took us out there, he was someone that was kind of interacting with .com. He was a strength coach at UC Riverside. You were a strength coach at Cal State Fullerton. Keisha was already a coach there too, right? Or still an athlete?
She was at Irvine right at that point in time. She had already left down there for Mike.
We went in 2004, 2005. 2005. When did we go over to Irvine? 2006.
In 2005. In 2005.
So we went to CrossFit. I'm actually doing the same problem that you're just talking about at Globo gyms. Like, I'm doing high intensity training, all about it, HIIT training, but calling it, our style of training. We're already doing all kinds of stuff. At Cal State Fullerton, we're training for Olympic weightlifting. We still do a hybrid bodybuilding program. You're forcing me off of full-time bodybuilding. I'm trying to let my arms shrink down, and I'm still doing like sprints and plyos and shit in the field. And you're like, we don't need to do this. Just squat deeper. And I remember Josh taking us and was like, hey man, you guys got to go check this out. And we went, we already learned how to do kettlebells. We did that Pavlov certain video where we were like, what the hell is this? He's trying to kill people. And we fell in love with it. And I think about when we showed up to CrossFit, how specifically people were like almost running us out of places because of what we were doing. And then all of a sudden they gave us a home where they were like, no. Now you can quantify it, give it a time, give it a round. And so that's how I tell people that I was introduced to CrossFit, is basically teaching me that one, what we were doing was right. And then two, we can actually get more out of it. We can get data from it. So,
but that was a great experience. I actually remember a time when they came down right before we went up. We were already set up, and they came down and got USA weightlifting certified from Coach B. And I remember him calling up Keisha and I and saying, "Hey, you guys coming down to the cert this weekend to help coach?" And we were like, "Yeah, coach, we're going to be there for you." And he goes, "Well, I just wanted to make sure because there's these crazy people coming down. Josh's buddies up there called CrossFit, and they're super crazy, but they'll fit right in with Keisha." And that was kind of how Coach B talked about it. And then I remember those guys came down, and Josh and Amundsen threw down on Fran. And I remember them all like building up Amundsen. And then, Josh went after it. That was a really fun throwdown, actually. That was back in the days where Tony just had his camera around and would all of a sudden whip it out, somebody doing something crazy. And, they got Josh and Amundsen doing that.
Just not turn on. Okay. Dude, it was crazy. It was crazy how when we went out there, Josh was like, "You're only going to use 35s?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't got this like pull-up thing you're doing." And they were like, "No, I use 50. And then I remember going on that first lap, and I thought the first round was good. Second round, I remember specifically running with the group and seeing Keisha, seeing Josh, and then seeing a few other heads that I remember being track athletes. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm with the wrong group.
That's not a good idea, Max. That's not a good idea, Max.
Yeah, I was still pretty in shape too, but I was in the wrong group. And next thing you know, I remember they were starting the cert, and I still had one more round or something. And they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, you just fucking start talking. I don't care. I'm going to finish this workout. And then just had to start the cert. I mean,
I still remember you coming through your fourth round to do because it was fat throwing, and you had 15 thrusters and 15 pull-ups. And you were coming in to finish up your fourth round of thrusters and pull-ups, and everybody was like cheering you on like it was your last round. You tried to tell us all like 5 times during the time that this was not your last round, but you weren't even able to like speak. And we were all like, yeah, when you got finished with your last pull-up, and then you took off running again, and everybody was like, oh, dang. Just got another round.
They were always so good.
Hey, you showed everybody up the next day when they brought out that Thomas Kemper kettlebell, dumbbell, though. And man, people were struggling to like even get it overhead. And then I remember you grabbed that thing, put it on one shoulder, and just went cha, 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 like for 10 reps over the head. Everybody was like, "What the heck did that guy just do?" That was the old caveman days. I think that's when Hackelman gave you the caveman nickname.
Yeah,
at that point.
That was the claim of it. But they were always good about goading me in, like, hey Max, do you think you can do 15 touch and goes with 100 kilos? And then it was like, hey, would you like to do this conga line fight gone bad? I remember there was one time I had to pull myself out of a conga line fight gone bad, just throwing up. And they were like, are you okay? I'm like, nah, man, keep going. I'm out. I'm gone.
Oh yeah.
Got me once again. Again.
Remember, so that first weekend they threw at us that first cert we went to. We did fat throwing, so 5 rounds, 800-meter run, 15 thrusters, 15 pull-ups. Day 2, Mary or Cindy. Mind you, none of us knew how to do kips. I learned during Mary, but I ripped my hands to shreds. That was another one. I remember looking over, and Nicole was right next to me. I ripped all my hands, and I was like, oh damn, my workout's over. You know what I mean? And then I look over to my right. Nicole is right next to me. Nicole's got blood dripping down her forearms. I'm like, oh shit, I got to get back on the bar now. Damn it. They,
There's no
they
way.
threw that. They threw that us at day 2, and then man, they threw that rager Saturday night. And man, we were all hurting on Sunday. Then they threw Fight Gone Bad at us on Sunday.
Buying us shots. They got Keisha. They did Keisha dirty because remember they were able to bring anybody out there and just hand them their ass. And then all of us went out there and we all survived. And they got so mad that we were surviving and winning and beating that they just got us drunk. They just went to Plan B, and then partied.
Plan B.
Yeah, it was smart.
Keisha definitely didn't drink any alcohol at that time, so she was hurting you.
Smart. Yeah, we were all like athletes. Like there was no way. And we would just learn something. We got accepted. It was so good. So good.
It was good times. Good times though. But that culture is what got me into CrossFit Max. We had that culture at Coach Bergner's gym, being a part of Mike's gym. You know what I mean? Like that's the one thing I think that we can take from all that. And like I know you got at Costa Mesa, we got here at Madtown, is that community and that drive of that community. And with everything that's gone on in CrossFit and everything, throughout the years, that's the one thing that's always been consistent in CrossFit is the community is what the important part is. And I think that's the main success for it, if you ask me.
Well, I tell them all the time, I tell people all the time that ask me about that shit is I know a lot of us were there at the very beginning. A lot of us were offered jobs. A lot of us were able to move to Santa Cruz and develop ourselves there if we wanted to, or do what we wanted outside of, but we would have had to been in bed with HQ. And a lot of us never did that. And so there was a reason why. It was because we didn't like specific certain things that were happening. And we were very specific in the route we chose because of it. And I personally know that a lot of us were like that. Especially because we just didn't want to involve ourselves with it. So on the contrary, I'm actually pretty proud. I've always kind of regretted it, but more and more with more and more stuff coming out, I'm always almost like, fuck, one less thing that I regret, because that was high on my list. And the reality of it is I think we all did very well with making the choices and developing. And then speaking of the environments, I feel like we've always had that environment, like when I think of the 130, like my 130 crew that's about to go down, when I think of you training with probably your kids or your adults, the people that train around you, it's very specific in the way we've always carried ourselves and the people who follow us. And I think that's because we're pretty.
You remember the morning work crew at Fullerton with John and Campbell and you, man, we all got, it was kind of a rat pack of people. We had John in there with the double knee replacement, near 70-year-old BC, one of the best athletes on the world, that was walking at the time, getting up and getting in at the gym, listening to little Bob Marley, little work on the way in, and getting in and getting to work. But that's the culture, nobody really wanted to be there at 5 or 4:30 or whatever time it was. But, that's when we all got in there and got it done and made it happen. And we were all in different places in our life, but we all got there and worked hard and had a little fun doing it at the same time,
I remember at one point I was actually like sleeping inside of your office where I would actually go train at 4:30, sleep while you would coach throughout the day, or like eat, leave for a while, go work myself, come back, train in the middle of the day, hang out again, and then train again. I remember that there was really some really cool times in there. So yeah, especially that 4:30 crew. No one understands like what that took to get there. But and I would say that probably that's what drives you as a coach daily, huh? Is people that want to get better. What kind of drives you daily?
That's why I do what I do. That's what I do. What I do. You know what I mean? Like that's why I never really got involved with like I guess it's less philosophical or anything than that, about not like putting my stuff out there and not really being on the internet and doing that whole game. Like I just really truly enjoy working with people on a daily basis, talking to people on a daily basis, watching them get better, just kind of seeing them progress, and helping them do the things that they need to do to have a better self. And like I said, it could be a Olympic athlete, it could be somebody trying to fight obesity or not have worry about diabetes or anything like that. It doesn't matter to me. I help people get better, and seeing that on that day-to-day basis is definitely why I do what I do. Both Keisha and I, have different options in our life where I think we could be making a whole lot more money than what we are right now. But we're happy with what we do. We enjoy going to work every day, and I think that's what is a true blessing. I get to come in contact with people every day who, they complain about their job. Things aren't quite working the way that they want them to. I obviously we all have days where things aren't the greatest, but man, there's not a day where I don't step into the gym. I could have anything going on at that point in time. Say I'm coaching a 4-hour shift straight. Man, I don't think about what just happened in my life, or what any bad stuff that's been going on in my life. Like, I'm focused on those people, and I can let everything else go. And I think that's priceless to be able to do that every day.
Like, have your own Vegas. Like, you can check into somewhere, and if you don't have a clock up, it's dangerous. Like, you're in there too long. Like, it will suck you in. Hey, tell me what's your ideal, besides like someone want to get better. What's your ideal perfect athlete, client, or member?
It's a good one. Somebody that shows up consistently. As much as this may seem kind of weird because people are paying me to give their advice, but people who actually listen to my advice when I give it to them while they're training. I know it's a weird concept, but if I had $1 for every time I told somebody something that they were doing wrong and they told me I know immediately right back to me, it's like, okay, yeah, great. Like,
that's so good. What would you? What about your least favorite? What's your least favorite client?
Least favorite client? Wow.
Athlete.
Man, that's a tough one. I don't have too many least favorites.
Showing up late for class, you're okay with that?
I'm getting pretty still in my old age here, Max. Like,
you just catch up, just don't look at me and don't talk to me. Is that because that's
exactly? You do your thing, get your ass warm. Don't ask me where we at, what we doing. If you do any of that, yeah, then it probably won't be a good scenario. But if you find your space, start warming up, jump into whatever we're doing. Like, I get it. Like, stuff happens in life. You know what I mean? I'm not dealing with somebody trying to qualify for the Olympics or something like that. We're trying to live a healthier life. And if you're 5 minutes late one day, here and there, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really bother me so much anymore these days. So, I guess the one that would probably bother me the most would be the person like that shows up every once in a while randomly, and then like when you hear them kind of like is like not happy about with what your programming's doing or like how the training's going or this and that, when they're not even really giving it a full try. You know what I mean? That's probably the thing that irks me the most out of anybody. So that'd be my least favorite.
I can see that. What's your favorite methodology?
Well, I guess, really, I mean, when it comes down to it, I piece together a lot of stuff from a lot of different people. But when you look at methodology as a whole, I mean, I practice CrossFit, you know what I mean? Like, I use the 10 components of fitness, constantly varied training, working a lot of core to extremity. You know what I mean? Like, it's I guess we can all have our little things that we kind of do differently, and where we kind of feel like, oh, I do this better than say maybe CrossFit does or this or that. But in essence, the methodology that I feel is probably the most worthwhile for people would be the CrossFit methodology. And
GPP, GPP maybe with a little bit of like strength conditioning inside there, or like
yeah. But Max, I feel there's so many different things that are involved in CrossFit that that it's hard to really like just say CrossFit's one little thing as well too. And I think as far as how that all goes, I learned tons of great stuff from my buddy John Hines at Monkey Bar Gymnasium. He was a big influence on me on that for a time as well. But I had definitely, learned a bunch from Mike Nagler at Cal State Fullerton, Coach Bergner. What's that?
I bailed on you. I'm sorry. I have
You
my
got,
repairing my dishwasher. And
oh, definitely need that fixed.
Just give me a call back.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. You got to keep everybody happy at the house, especially me. So, um, sorry about that. What?
It's okay. I just mentioned that I use CrossFit, but I learned definitely from numerous other people. I'd mentioned a guy in Madison here, John Hines, a great guy, owns the Monkey Bar Gymnasium.
Yeah.
Learns tons of great stuff when I worked with John. I got 1 year when Keisha was working at UW. I left UC Irvine at that time, and we left. That was the first time we left Southern California, and came back here and learned some great stuff. I actually had that was a time period where I had an opportunity to get a couple director jobs at a little bit more of like a Globo type fitness job, and you kind of feel those pressures to do those jobs. But I was 29 at the time. And, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this year and I'm going to work with this guy because this guy's got a lot of great information that I'd really love to learn. And you know what? I didn't make as much money that year, but the knowledge that I learned was worth it, way more than any money I could have made at that time period in that year. So.
It is crazy that if you're willing to sacrifice the money and you're willing to sacrifice like a little bit of the growth in that kind of business atmosphere, you're going to live a little bit less stressful in this industry. You're going to feel a little bit better about what you do, and you almost feel like you accomplished more. So that's like one of my biggest fears about driving the online business and just driving the business in general, that yes, it is going to drive me more money and it's making me more money, but it also requires me to work more. And then all of a sudden I start driving away from my kids and it bothers me. It really, really bothers me. And so like this is like catch 22. And then with everything going on right now, I thought I wanted to teach my kids the grind, but now I'm not sure. So you might see me sooner than later.
That'd be great, Max.
Tell me, like, what's your favorite regiment? Like, how many days a week? You like the 5 days a week still, 6 days a week? What's your favorite 2 on?
Yeah, I feel like people just need to listen to their bodies. You know what I mean? Like, I do like the 3 day, 1 day, 2 day, 1 day. I think that's a nice way to be able to recover during the week. Crank out 3 hard days of work, take a day off, get 2 hard days of work on, and then take another day off. I do like that. Coach Bergner definitely employed a lot of that, and I think that definitely helps out a lot. But as far as it comes to general fitness, though, I got people. I don't think it's anything out of the realm for somebody to do 45 minutes to an hour of well thought out training 6 to 7 days a week. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely a feasible thing for people to be doing. But then again, like say you do that for a while, your body starts beating down. Maybe your coach starts programming really tough cycle for a bit, and maybe you need to back off of what you normally do and cut that back a little bit. But yeah, I'd say I definitely for athletes that are where recovery and things are super super important, where they're doing other things outside of the training. I definitely do think sneaking 2 rest days during the week is important for people who are putting a lot of effort and energy into another sport other than just training.
What is your favorite exercise? Like favorite Olympic lift, and then favorite gymnastics exercise?
Well, that snatch is my favorite Olympic lift, Max. I mean, come on. Like, do we even have to have this discussion? When you can snatch and clean a jerk the same weight, snatch is your favorite exercise.
Right?
So,
and then your double under. I would say that you would throw your favorite monostructural movement would be a double under, or jump rope.
I do love the jump rope. You know that. I love my jump rope. I've always loved my jump rope.
Handstand walk, maybe? Handstand walk?
Hey, I got a good jump rope story. You got a minute for a jump rope story, Max?
I got a good. Hold on. Let me hit you with funny coaching story.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
It's not a fun, but so okay at the CrossFit cert. I'm sorry, at the CrossFit Games, how they have before they took away all the like specialty courses, they would have the specialty courses at the games give a tutorial on like their cert, real quick. Coach B would do a bunch of his. So, Buddy Lee's doing his, and he's got his guy out there, and they're doing their big spiel and their talk, and the guy goes, "Can anybody name one movement that you could do with a jump rope other than a double under?" And like expecting to get nobody to say anything, and I was like, "Swivels," and then the guy was like, "Any other ones?" And then I threw a boxer shuffle, and then the guy starts looking at me and he goes, "Anybody else other than this guy?" Like, and then I was talking to Coach B afterwards, and then him and Buddy Lee came up, and they were definitely like, "Hey, you're that guy out there." Like, and I was like, "I'm sorry, guys," for being a smart ass, but I was into Buddy Lee, man, way back in before we even met Coach Bergner. Like, I loved Buddy Lee back in early 2000s, man. Like, man, it's a tough thing. I wish his cert would have done better than it did in the CrossFit scene. I feel like that guy's got a lot of great information to give to people, and the jump rope's an amazing tool. And yeah, I love jumping rope, man. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do. So that's why I was kind of excited when the guy asked, "Hey, does anybody know how to do anything on a double under?" So I was like, "Man, ain't nobody here gonna know how to do anything else, but I do."
Yeah. Yes. Finally. Me. Ooh, call me. Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Oh man.
What about your gymnastics?
Gymnastics, and I love them. Muscle ups are great. I remember when we first got into muscle ups. Man, I actually injured my elbow at one point in time just from doing muscle ups too much, man. I was so in love with muscle ups, I would do them all day, every day.
Strict, all kinds of them. Yeah, you were all into them. That's another one that was hot on the list. What's your favorite?
So hey, at our first cert when we were up there, because when they were actually at Coach B's, I learned how to do a muscle up, and I did a strict one. Because they brought Mike from Oakland, Mike from CrossFit Oakland. Mike actually taught me how to do one, and actually I did a strict one, and he was teaching somebody else, and then I was watching, and then when he finished up, I was like, "Hey, can I try one?" Then he went to go give me the tutorial again, and I ripped off a strict one. And of course, all the CrossFit people were there. Were like, "Oh my God, that was!" I was like, "What is that like good?" They're like, "We literally teach people how to do this for 6 months, and they don't get it." And so, anyways, we ordered Elite rings. Remember Elite rings back in the day? Ordered a pair of Elite rings at UCI. We had that set at UC Irvine there. Did a whole bunch of them, and then when they did the muscle up thing, that was the first time I was on a real set of rings. And I knocked off like a set of 12. And, so Coach Glassman comes down after the ring and he goes, "That's not your first day on the rings, is it, huh?" And he goes, "I'm Greg Glassman." He goes, "I love my ring people." And so that's how I got my official introduction to Coach Glassman at that point in time, because he was impressed because I rattled off 12. You say 12 now, and people are like, "Yeah, big deal." It's kind of funny how CrossFit's changed over the years, Max.
Oh shit! I think about how we developed to try to just get 30, and now these kids are doing 45. But then again, at that time too, gymnastics, the world of gymnastics themselves aren't teaching ring or male apparatuses to females, and that's a big thing of reason why me personally and yourself, I could say, I don't know, I'm gonna speak for you, got into CrossFit specifically because they were people that were willing to teach gymnastics to everybody. Same thing with Olympic lifting. Imagine we were teaching Olympic lifting in Globo Gym, and you have a manager or somebody telling you, "Why are you teaching that heavyweight, overweight, fat person how to lose weight by doing Olympic lifts?" And it's like, because they'll diet and they'll listen to me and they'll show up if I just show them how to lift. So I understand that abs are made in the kitchen. I thought that's what you said. So,
hey, well, I remember, Keisha she brought this up the other day. It wasn't that long ago. Back in those days, if you were a girl in a weight room trying to tell a guy how to do something, that usually wasn't a good scenario, even if you were a highly certified female coach, and I do think CrossFit, not everything's been great that's come out of CrossFit for sure, but I'd say that's one thing that's kind of, CrossFit I do think was a big part of it, was changing that culture. And you know what? Women have a lot to say in strength sports and in power sports. And not only can they do it, they can teach it and coach it. lots of times better than most of us guys can. I can tell you that much. So,
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot more guys now that are a lot more willing to learn from females as well too. So, and I do have to give CrossFit and the culture of CrossFit some credit for that.
Yeah, and it's key thing is culture. What is your favorite style of coaching? Are you a tactile coach? Are you a visual coach? Are you a
I guess that coach, I kind of say a little bit more almost like a chameleon, I'd call it, style of coach. I don't really have one style per se. I feel like my job is to understand people. So, that's why it's important. I think for me, that's why I coach almost all my classes. I coach 4 nights a week, 4 hours, and I coach 3 hours in the morning, 3 days a week, and then I coach all the Saturdays. I got into this to be a coach, not to be a business owner. And I also feel my programming, I got to get to know people and know how people are doing. And so that involves me talking to them on a daily basis, finding what motivates people, what pushes people. Some people like to be yelled at. You know what I mean? That's a good motivator for some people. I actually would like it myself. I don't mind people riding on me and getting after me. Some people, they crumble when you do that. So why do that to somebody? You know what I mean? I try to find what motivates somebody, and I try to fit that style that will help them become better and become a better athlete. And that's something I feel like I got better with as I aged as a coach. I think too many times when I was a young coach, I think you always have to be true to yourself, no doubt on that. Don't be something you're not. But I was a little bit too strict on being one style and one way of coaching. And if I had to do things over again, that's something I'd probably change quite a bit from how I am as a coach now to back in the day.
Yeah, I try to tell people right away that it's a facade, but I'm a hard ass. But remember, I'm very soft. And day one, I tell them it's just what people pay for. They just want this, so don't stress. Don't stress.
Don't be too scared of the big guy.
Don't stress. I'm here for you. I understand that I work for you. So, but I'm going to tell you that it's a job. So, what would you tell a rookie coach? Maybe something like that, I guess, right? What would you tell?
Sure. Try not to have too many absolutes. You know what I mean? I think that's an important thing as a young coach. It's easy. I mean, we've all been there. I have myself. You know what I mean? I say Dr. Lee Brown, who was advisor of mine of Cal State Fullerton, former president of the NSCA. Again, just another story. I know a lot of people in CrossFit world who are NSCA and they think bad about everything. Not one entity or person is all good or all bad. You know what I mean? Dr. Lee Brown was an amazing guy. So thankful to have that guy as a mentor of mine for a couple years. Just on a lot of things about life and how to deal with things. But as a young coach, he said some words that I think really really helped me out a lot. And he said that there is no such thing as a bad exercise. There's bad prescription of exercise. And that's something that really hung true with me, because I think at that point in time, I kind of was starting to set some certain limits on, oh, that's a bad movement. This is a good movement. That's something good to do. This isn't something good to do. And, that really struck a chord in me at that time period of my life where it really made me sit there and look at things and be like, you know what, that's actually right. I shouldn't inherently just deem a movement bad in itself. But this movement might not be proper. Maybe 99% of the population that I work with, this movement's not the proper movement, but that doesn't mean I should discard it completely, because it could be a great movement for the 1% of the population that I work with. So
that for sure is something that I took from Brown, and blessed to have him because of you interact with him. And the first thing that I actually tell people is there's no such thing as stupid exercisers or stupid exercises. There's just stupid exercisers. So There's no such thing as stupid exercises, just stupid exercisers. And it's always kind of harsh. And I know that's not what Dr. Brown was saying, but I kind of evolved it. And I think about how amazing that situation was to have him in our life, specifically you.
And then Max, on top of that, I guess if I'd say, as Dr. Brown's one of them, but, a lot of people say find a mentor. I believe in finding mentors. that needs to be plural. Like, try not to put all your eggs in one basket on who you learn from. You know, like my goal, if I had somebody come and intern underneath me, is to not recreate another person that's like me or another coach that's like me. I feel like if somebody comes here and interns, I want them to leave and be the best coach that they can be. And what that's going to entail is also for them, while they're learning from me, be learning from, you know, at least another coach and maybe a couple other coaches at the same time, you know. And I feel that was something that was really important that you did, I did, a lot of us did back in those days where, you know, wasn't anything to learn from a bunch of different coaches. You know, it's not like we just had one mentor and we learned their system. We learned from a bunch of different mentors and then, you know, used all of that to build our own system. And you know, and a part of that I think is having good mentors as well too. Coach Bergner never told me how I had to do one single thing. You know what I mean? Not one single time. You know what I mean? He did a great job of allowing you to ask him questions. He would give you answers. Sometimes he'd give you questions back, but you know what I mean? Where it wasn't where there were so many absolutes from Coach Bergner as well too. You know, like he has this method and his way that he does things. But you know, that was another thing too. He was willing to learn from anybody. You know, like he told a story. He told a story about how one of the kids in the, you know, like freshman kid in the class, like came up with one of his favorite, you know, cues. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, I think some of that too is like, you know, being very mindful of who your mentors are and who the people you're learning from as well too. And you know, I think that's a really important thing. I know I wouldn't be where I'd be right now if I didn't have a whole group of mentors to help teach me to be where I'm at right now, which I guess is nothing super special, but I'm happy with where I'm at. So
no, it's super important. I mean, I think it's actually something where it gives us life and it makes us understand like why we want to coach. And then also too, it like gives us, at least me, it gave me purpose to take 5, 10, 20 different people's thought process on how to make people strong, fit. And then I think about the 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 years, 1 year, different times I spent with these people and how I have this like pedigree and history of fitness that I went through. And I chose my own educational path by doing that and finding those mentors. I think it's super important. I feel like you're dead on where if you want to be a great coach, and I mean great coach, and I know we're great coaches, and I don't mean to toot our own horns or anything like that, but you gotta learn for sure that type of willingness to learn from other people. What type of community are you building, or do you want to build? Like, what is the legacy, or what's the community that you want to build and be known for?
well, so actually, you know what? I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and kind of what brought it up was just you know, a lot of social things that are going on right now in our society and things going on in our culture. And you know, one thing that I want our community here to be is a representation for my kids, that where they can see a group of people who come from different political backgrounds. They come from different have different sexuality, different race, different religion. You know what I mean? Like having all these wide ranges of different thoughts and different beliefs, but all showing up at the same place and being able to get along for that hour and actually support each other and help each other for that hour, and to be a representation for my kids to see that this is possible, that this is something that can be done and should be done in our culture. And I believe it will be done with proper leadership. Because I think CrossFit gyms are a prime example of what happens when there's proper leadership in a community. You get the result is what you see in these CrossFit gyms all over the world right now. Special. Well, I think I'm losing my earbud there, Max. Can you hear me still?
I got you.
But you know, I think it's important for kids to see that, and that they can see that these communities are real, and this is positive, and people can make it work. And that's kind of the community I want to build, and I feel like what we have built here at Madtown over the past 11 and a half years here. So
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. I want to
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
you mute computer?
I can hear you, but I think it's on my phone now. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
Hey, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. And I need to do this. I miss you.
Miss you too, Max. You know, good days back in the day, man. I think about them all the time. Keisha and I talk about them all the time. You know, there's nobody I would have rather have learned and done all that with than you, my man. I was really blessed to have you and to have you along the way with me. And there's nobody that I would have rather done that with. You know, it was some of the best times of my life. Some of the hard times in my life, but sometimes some of the best times in my life at the same time. You know how that goes, man.
Yeah. I love you, man. Thank you. Coach. I love you.
Love you too, Maxie. Have a good one. Go kick those guys' butts, huh? Get after it today. I got a group coming in here in about 10. I'm going to do the same.
Hey, wait for me. Later, buddy.
All right, Max. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.